Hello and welcome to Buying and Beyond, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of retail buying.
We're Kate and Linz, and together we have over 30 years experience in retail.
We're talking all things retail buying and beyond with real people in retail.
This season, we're joined by more guests, retail buyers, retail businesses, big and small, telling us their stories, how they got started and what inspires and excites them about retail.
We lift the lid on what brands need and buyers expect.
So grab your drink of choice and come and have a giggle with us. So hi, in today's episode we have Lucy Smith joining us. Lucy is a senior buyer for Womenswear and Accessories at Jigsaw, having worked her way up the buying ladder from a buyer's admin assistant at ex-Accessorize. We are so excited to talk to Lucy today about her career path and what she really loves about buying. So hi Lucy!
Hi Katie, hi Lindsay, nice to see you.
So lovely to have you on here. We're really excited to talk about everything. So shall we start with the very beginning and just talk about how you got into buying? So, how did you first hear about buying? How did you get into it? And then let's start to talk about like your progression and things like that.
Yeah, do you know what? I was thinking about it and I really don't know how I knew buying was a career. And I fear it might be because Rachel on Friends was an assistant buyer.
Classic.
I actually think that's why. But I think also I later into like secondary school really got into like shopping and fashion. Like I was quite quiet and I think I like use it as a form of expression. Like I remember like every time we'd have a non-uniform day at school, I'd like go and buy a new top from Topshop or something like that. So then whilst I was picking A levels, I actually started looking at what degree I wanted to do and like found the buying and merchandising course at London College of Fashion. So gave them a call and worked out what A levels would be good to get in. And so that's kind of like how I picked my A levels, and then actually didn't get into the London College of Fashion, but still did a
That's
fashion
really good of you
management
to
and
be
marketing.
calling them to find out, and especially as you say, quite quiet.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe feeling like, oh, that's quite a big step, quite a brave thing to do, to be like, okay, well, if I want to do it, how am I going to do it? And then calling someone. Like, I feel like that's always quite a bit of like, it was a good step to take so early on, because once you are into buying, like, just call the supplier, just call them.
Exactly.
Oh my God,
It's always a bit daunting, isn't it? Having to have but yeah, no, I think it was. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been so organised since. So I think I really peaked. But yeah, so I did fashion management and marketing at university, but kind of knowing I wanted to go into buying and merchandising. So I did a bit of work experience whilst I was there. I did work experience at House of Fraser in the buying team, but I think maybe had a bit of a funny experience and left feeling like I wanted to do merchandising, not buying.
Oh wow, what happened in that?
I think I don't know what happened. It was only for like 2 weeks. It was a very like short like window of experience. But I think I left feeling a bit like I didn't really understand what buying did. Like I saw design, do all of the creative side of it. It felt like they were leading the creative. It felt like merch were leading all the like analytical, this is what like picking the product, deciding the quantities, all of that. And my experience of buying was like that I just filed swatches and I was like, well, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wondered whether it was that, especially at that kind of level. Sometimes when you go in and you can do work experience, it depends maybe who your AB or buyer is or what the team setup is. And if you're lucky, you can get really involved in a buy, and depending at the time of year that you do it as well.
Yeah,
If there's a
exactly.
buy going on, you might get to go and sit in on it. Or, if you're like writing up the trade things, they might let you, do or look at the trade reports and things. But otherwise, if you're just brought in just as help, which is not what any work experience should really come in to be, it's just like team, like, oh God, we're drowning in samples. So can someone just come in and sort out our sample cover for a week? Because that's not giving them exposure. And if that's your experience, then I can imagine you're looking at the merchandising team or the MAs, etc., and they're sat there and they're getting into the detail and the data already. They're not moving boxes. They're not filing the swatches.
No, they don't move from their
POs.
desks, do they? Ever, really?
So actually, when I started at Accessorize, I got a job as the MAA, and I did it for about a month, or maybe it was 2 months. I was like back. Someone had been promoted, and they'd hired for that role, and they needed someone to come in and do 2 months. And I was working in Monsoon in the shop at the time, so I knew someone in head office, so she was like, why don't you just come and do it for 2 months and just get some experience? And within those 2 months I realized, no, it was in fact buying that I did want to do. So then I moved over to the bags team as the BA.
Oh, so we started at the same place.
Same team, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
All three of us did start. All three of us
Oh,
started as
yes, you
BAs on
started at
bags.
bags too,
Oh,
didn't
did you? I didn't know that, Casey.
Yeah, I did a temp role for 6 months on the bag team, and then a position came, and and then a permanent role came up on jewelry. So I moved over. It was interesting. They'd actually only put an extra BA temp position onto bags because the buyer on jewelry who covered hair accessories had gone on maternity leave, and instead of covering her, or I don't know what happened from the recruitment process, but they moved hair onto bags. So I went to be a BA to support bags, purses, and hair accessories.
That's a bit of a random mix, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think during that time that I was there, they managed to put a case forward, I guess, to say, actually, we're going to need this more of a permanent role. And then hair went back with me, but they backfilled me with a permanent position, which was Lindsay.
Ah, that's
Funny,
funny.
isn't
Oh,
it?
so all bags team girls. That's nice.
Yeah. I
Good
did
place
really
to
love that
start.
team. It was a great team. It was a great product category to work on, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Bags.
it was. And I think there was like lots of little categories that you could get involved in. Like I think I started on like helping on purses, and I remember the buyer
Yeah.
let me like pick the linings because they were all floral and stuff like that. And the first purse I picked a lining of, I went and bought, like took everyone into the shop, like I picked this.
Oh, I love that.
Like it's the #1 bestseller, and you're like, I've got a lot of
Yeah.
friends and family.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think it was that what is it, the like chubby Chester wallet or something, the like little bird lock on it, which always was.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember that little bird lock. Classic.
Yeah.
But you could choose all the fun bits like the hardware, or
Exactly.
like say the linings, or you could do, because they started doing those little card wallets.
Yeah.
Take the little range of card wallets. So like, we just need 4 options of card wallets, and you'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I always
And
remembered that you had to check that the cards fit in. And
yes.
I was like thinking to myself, why would they not fit in? And so many times some would come in and they couldn't fit the cards in. And you'd just be like, oh my God, what would happen if I hadn't checked this? It literally would have gone into store and Dara could use it.
I had a moment where do you remember, so you, where we did the initials, you started off and it was the letters in camels.
Yeah, camels Dr. PJ.
Yeah, what?
It was Dr. Camel's PJ, DR Camels and PJ.
Because you'd start with camels, and then if you did the extended.
Oh, I see, that was the extended one.
Yeah, extended version.
Yeah. I sampled a purse once, like on trip, and it had and I'd put that it was the letters of camels, and they were different colours of like glitter fabric, and the purse came in, and it was, I think it was like the morning of sign off, and I was like, oh, finally, like this post is here. Opened it up, and there's this little purse, and it just said in different coloured metallic letters, camels, and I was like, it's not quite what I meant, is it?
I love that. Oh, bless the supplier.
That just shows like how important like just a really super accurate design brief, but also sometimes it can be just, it just happens when you have that communication with the supplier. Was it a new supplier or someone you'd worked with for a long time?
No, it was a long-standing supplier, but I think it was on the last day of a trip or something that I'd done it. So it was probably just like, you know, churning stuff out. And I just not really thought about how clear it was.
I love that. It's so funny, but it also just shows with, you know, checking the card thing just shows how important you are at that BA level.
Yeah.
When you think that like, you're just like, oh, I'm just doing this, I'm just checking whether some cards can fit. But actually, if 20,000 units come in and it goes into store and someone can't fit their card in it, that is going to cost the business a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Like you're not just there just doing things for fun. So many things have a real like meaning and consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, similarly, I remember like scanning the barcodes at Accessorize as a BA and thinking, this is so ridiculous. Like, it's a barcode, of course it will scan. And then when I think I was junior buyer and I had a BA, and they'd clicked something wrong when raising an order or raising a product, and none of the barcodes scanned. And there was maybe like 10 purses that had to be completely relabeled, and like they're massive quantities at Accessorize, so it was hugely costly to. So yeah, it's such an important part of the process. Yeah,
it is. And when you come in, sometimes you don't realize, like, you think you're going to be buying and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? But actually all these things have got a massive impact, and you've got to see a season all the way through, because you don't know what things might trip you up along the way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's such a good foundation then for the rest of your career, isn't it, to get that understanding of all those different those different processes.
Definitely. So you were on bags and purses.
On bags and purses, actually, do you know what? It was a temp contract on bags and purses because I was a BA/MA. So I did that for 6 months, and then I got a permanent position on. This was with you, Katie. It was like like footwear, sandals,
lingerie. We did nightwear.
Yeah, this was like a funny mixed team. Like we then got slippers and socks and hosiery as well as
yeah.
And I think we had makeup for a while. Like I remember sending an email out to. I obviously had too much time on my hands. I sent an email out to the floor and was like, "We're having an identity crisis. Like, what's our team name?" And we ended up being like Foot and Face or something, which is so awful.
Yeah, I do. Do you know what? I remember that. I think I must have I was there just when we were doing I think it was the license staff from upstairs, because I remember that we started to have to work with, I think it was Helen upstairs. I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but it was definitely the licensing department, and then it came down to us to own it. But it was around that time that I then moved off, and I didn't have to do the hosiery and the socks. They definitely came along after I moved off. Thank goodness. But I do remember the identity crisis and just being like, but what our signatures are too long.
Yeah,
like it rolls off the page. You just can't fit it on.
Yeah. So you know what, that time is a bit of a blur. I can't really remember exactly what categories were there, but beach was definitely a big part. Beach and footwear was a big part of when we were on it together.
Yeah.
And then footwear
and it gave you more experience in kind of doing fits and things like that, didn't it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that actually. And I've always loved this about footwear, like the technicality of and that's what like now doing a bit of womenswear as well, like really understanding that process and why doesn't something fit, or you know, all of
it's
that.
not a one size fits all. It's not that clothing is, but it's just it's a bag. It's just this shape. You know, you can play about with it slightly, spec and stuff, but you don't have to grade it up and down.
Yeah, it's like an added layer of complexity, isn't it, getting the fit right and the comfort
level, definitely. Yeah. Going up to fits and like, oh, should we take it down by a centimetre or rise it up?
And I remember that like that back counter was like a huge thing, and if you lowered it too much, it's just going to fall off, and if it was too high, then it was going to dig in. Like it was, especially because they were all like elasticated, weren't they? So that was like a big.
Do you know what? I didn't do anything on fits and stuff, but the only thing I can like liken this to is having to do Christmas tree tilt tests.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so there's like this board, and you put the tree on, and if it falls over, then it's not like there's something not quite right.
It's funny because like some of these jobs, they feel so ridiculous, don't they? But they're obviously so important. Like if everyone's Christmas tree falls over, it's not good.
It's not going to be a very happy Christmas.
And you just wouldn't think it either, would you? If you just went in fresh, you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to launch a new business, right? And I'm just going to do Christmas trees because everybody loves a Christmas tree. I'm just going to do Christmas trees. You wouldn't think that you'd need to do that test.
No.
Would you? You just wouldn't even. It would.
You think it would just be like a standard thing?
Yeah.
Trees. Few prizes.
It's funny, isn't it?
Buy them, stick them up.
One decoration on.
And can you imagine you collected all these decorations for like 25 years, and then the tree fell over? Oh my god!
You know what? That is me. Like that is me. My Christmas tree decoration is like probably my most precious possession. I'd be devastated.
I loved buying Christmas for that reason, because you would just like hold a special place in people's hearts.
Totally.
Yeah. Collector's items.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Didn't you do some Christmas on that team as well?
Not last time,
a different one.
I'm sure that was one of the departments that floated around, wasn't it?
I moved over, and the thing with Christmas, we didn't do Christmas decks. I moved over and then did Christmas decks with seasonal, but there was definitely like you say, floating around, Lucy. There was, because every department did some sort of, or not every department, but most departments did something Christmassy. So like Christmas jewelry wasn't part of the Christmas department, it was part of the jewelry department. Or if you wanted to do a Christmas bikini, it would have sat with beach. Or if you wanted to do a Christmas bag, it would have sat with bags. And then I remember it was like, but things are all over the place and nothing's matching. Let's bring it all back to sit in the one department.
That makes sense.
But yeah, we definitely did a lot. And it was around the time that we were doing we did a special range for our European.
The Southern Europe. what, the swim, is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, swim and beach stuff that needed to be super, super skimpy.
Yeah, there was a lot of like hot
Oh,
pink
really?
macrame and
Yes. Yeah,
high
and
collapse.
I remember dropping the arm
Oh
to make it
yeah.
as low as possible. And like you say, with like, dropping things on the back or like on the shoulders, you just really wanted it to just like float off. But with the fabrics we were using, if you went too far, the whole thing would just fall off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was so interesting, wasn't it, buying for different markets? We used to do a lot of that M&S when they were massively into that, international market expansion. And you'd just be bringing in, yeah, like jewelry. Remember doing jewelry for South Africa, and they had like we were really pally with the partner there, and they would just ask for some really, really wild things.
Yeah, things that you'd just be like, oh, I'm not sure. But then you're just like, they're the expert in their market.
Yeah,
Let's
100%.
give it a go. Like they know what
Yeah.
they're talking about. But you also have to be so careful something, don't you, with like franchise partners, because is it what your market wants or what you want?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And you need to like protect the brand as well, don't you? Like you can't go like
Yes,
totally
exactly,
off base.
exactly. For sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially yeah.
exactly. But around that point, I remember that you were doing really well, Lucy. Like I remember you were an absolute star, and that we were people were starting to want to put more and get you to do more
Mm.
and more things because you seemed really, really capable, which you
Mhm.
were. But there was definitely at that point was okay, let's not put too much on her
Yeah.
because we don't want her, you don't want your top person to suddenly drown in
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that is like that is a thing. And so on that team I got senior assistant buyer and then very quickly got junior buyer. And I remember at that point, like I think at that point I really struggled because it was suddenly this a lot more pressure
Hmm.
and
The
I
expectation.
yeah, the expectations and all of a sudden, I mean, I had done it as senior assistant buyer, but like you're presenting to the directors, and I mean the director at the time, I mean he was quite challenging. So, and I remember thinking, I think I'm going to be at this level for a while because I think it really knocked my confidence. I think I knew that I'd been promoted too quickly then,
I think
and
that can be the thing. It's like
yeah,
actually it can be a real boost when you first get it because you're like, yeah, I got it. It took me like took me 2 months to get this. Look at me.
yeah, yeah,
But
Yeah.
actually the realization of like this is a big role that I'm stepping into and and you don't want it to knock somebody's confidence. You want somebody to be really ready for it. And I think
yeah,
that's where it can be really tough. We know that the majority of the time
Hmm.
that you are at a level and performing above before
mhm,
you get it in buying. So
yeah,
very often you're a BA, but you're already doing the AB role and you're just
yeah,
like, I just deserve it. I just need it right now. But I think it's almost that like, no, 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 it's going to be a big jump. It is a big
Yeah.
step. There's a lot more responsibility. So do it, but do it from the comfort of this.
Yeah.
And at the
yeah,
time, I think it can feel frustrating because I want that title and I want that money because I'm doing it.
mm,
But
Yeah.
actually, it's a much nicer gradual sort of step
yeah,
into it rather than this sudden, brilliant, you've got it. And you're like, yay, more
yeah.
money, got the title. But oh my God, what?
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's you only really realize that kind of towards the end of like when you've kind of like got a bit higher up because obviously I mean, there's so many levels to jump through and the starting salaries are, fairly low. So
Hmm.
you want to keep progressing. And I think especially at Accessorize because there was a lot of us and there's a lot of people at the same level. It felt a bit like a competition the whole time,
Oh
like
yeah.
climbing the ladder. So you yeah, you are in that rush to get there. But yeah, definitely towards the end of more recently in my career, like kind of the title has not been so important. Like you just want the company and the job role itself to be
Hmm.
something that you can excel in and you can thrive in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your
and that's
values.
manageable, it
Yeah.
allows you to be able to progress and do the job well and
Yeah,
feel
that's it.
supported by
Yeah.
your manager. And yeah, all these other things are so much more important when you get higher up, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to do your job well, I think that's like such an important thing. It's something that I've like struggled with a bit recently. Like we're quite a small team and yeah, like I'm covering quite a broad area, which in a way is great, and I've loved learning so many different things. But actually, there's an element of me that feels like it's very hard to do anything very well because you're firefighting and juggling so much, and then that's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that comes with a role so much, doesn't it, in buying? You do end up firefighting, and if you've got too many things to do and you're juggling too much and you're trying to
Yeah.
put out too many fires, you end up being that classic saying of jack of all trades and master of none,
Yes, literally.
which is
Yeah.
actually quite hard for your confidence and quite
Yeah.
hard for just like your well-being really, because and I'm very generalized about this, but I do feel that, and I've said it before, that in buying we are very proactive people, we are very conscientious people, you want to do well, you're ambitious,
Yeah.
and it's not really in your nature to not do something well and to slack off. Like, we like to get to the detail of things, we
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're selling X number, you want to be making sure that everything you do is right for your company, you and the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're like very passionate as well. Like, I definitely feel like probably too much. Like, you give your whole heart into
Yeah.
the department you're working on, so you want to do it really well. Like, it feels like almost like your company as well, doesn't it? So then it's really hard to, not then stay really late or take it home with you and carry the pressure throughout the rest of the week. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of balance that, isn't it? Sometimes
Yeah.
to kind of not just be, to kind of just realize that you are sometimes a number
Yes. Yeah.
for a
Totally.
company,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not to be too, it's important to care about what you do and it's important to be passionate, but it also needs to be that whatever you're doing it for yourself, for your own career progression. Like, I want to do this and I want to stay late because I want this range to do well, because it means a lot to me and my progression, and I'm going to know
Yeah.
that I've done really well and I can take those numbers and figures with me. Not,
Mm.
I've worked really hard for this company. Like,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
you mean? It's that kind of, you want to be passionate and you need to be involved and you need to feel really attached to what you do, but not to the detriment that you feel that you're owed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
gets tricky, doesn't it, when you get into
It,
that kind
that can get
of structure?
toxic, can't it? I think that word is used a lot now in industry. It is. There's a lot of people in the room fighting for that recognition, isn't there, these
Yeah.
days? Which is hard. So bring it back to a more lighter note. What was the best category at Accessorize that you bought?
So I loved doing footwear. Like, I felt very
Yeah.
strongly about that category, and it was the first category I got as a senior AB. So I think that was the first one I bought ever, and yeah, I loved it. And I think it was probably a category that footwear as a whole, like sandals, everyone really loved doing, but I feel like the shoe side of it was always like a bit painful. So
Yeah.
I think maybe I was able to give it like a bit more love, and
Oh,
it was just a
nice.
really tiny category. So I loved it. And I also, I really loved doing, well, I didn't do it myself, but being on the team that did socks, which I know sounds totally random, but it was just so fun. Like, and I
Yeah.
remember sending emails, and it'd be like, George the tortoise is 2 weeks late. Like, what's happening? Like, it was just felt so light. And although I do remember there was one time where our sock supplier, like, we'd given them the whole Christmas collection, and they emailed to say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but we're only going to be able to deliver the Christmas on the 15th of January." And we went, well, it's not really going to work. So
Lesson learned, don't give the
yeah,
entire range to one supplier.
totally,
Oh
yeah.
God.
But other than that one moment, socks felt like a very fun like category to do, and everything seemed to sell, I guess. So yeah, that was a good one.
Oh my gosh, I bet you were in problem solving mode all that week.
No, I don't actually remember what we did in that. We must have got them to deliver it in time, but I think it was just that first email that came in, and yeah,
I can't
everyone was
believe
like,
they
"What?
had the
No!"
audacity to
You
even
just like air,
say.
air freight it, air
Yeah,
it.
yeah, do whatever
Or
you
if
can.
I can only get 200, 300 units, like, that's enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Just
yeah. The
get me
rest
the
can go on
intake.
sale after. Yeah,
Hold the rest for next year.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's
Hold it at your
incredible.
cost, not ours. Don't
yeah.
send it to us.
Yeah, no, exactly. Wow. That's
Oh, and
that's
then
a killer intake.
so while you were on bags, you then were on bags until you then moved on to Pastors New.
I think I switched between bags and footwear a few times. Then when I got junior buyer, I think I got junior buyer on bags. Then I moved to footwear, and I might have gone back once or twice. I can't remember. But yeah, spend most
Too many times to count,
too
Lucy.
many times. Yeah, I remember being on a bags trip, and me and the designer had we'd worked so hard on it. I think we were in India the whole time, and then maybe I was about to go on to China, and yeah, we'd worked so hard. We'd been there. It's really long days, and doing the Indian, it was the evening bags. Doing the evening bags in India was always such a fun category because it was all the embellishment, and the suppliers are absolutely gorgeous that do it. And just as we were going to the airport, I got a call from our buying director, and she was like, "Just so you know, when you come back, you're going to be on footwear." And we were like, "Oh, okay, great."
Oh
Like,
no.
all the effort I put into that, all my
Yeah,
beautiful sampling that I'm
like,
not going to be able to actually range and
yeah, can I still come to the sign off? But yeah, but was on a mix of categories, but mostly on bags and footwear the whole time at Accessorize. But then I actually got made redundant in COVID because there was, I think, about 60% of people got made redundant. But so my role, junior buyer, kind of like went from the structure, and then they kept me on a temporary contract, which kind of kept renewing every couple of months. And then it got to a point where I think after about 6 months, I was like, actually, do you know what? I think I'm gonna go.
That's a really hard way to live when you're like literally just
Yeah,
not quite sure what's going to happen. The
yeah.
uncertainty overall with COVID
Well,
was
exactly.
enough of a wobble, let alone having this, oh, we'll
Yeah.
just see how you
And
that
that whole time
was
was like so hard, like because I'd worked through the first chunk of COVID, and then I can't remember how far into it, but then I went on and off furlough. So I was going on furlough for a couple of weeks, and then I'd pop up on the jewelry team, and then I'd go back on furlough, and then I'd pop up on another team for a couple of weeks. So
Oh wow, really?
it was like not a very nice, living in limbo for a while for that kind of chunk of time. So yeah, anyway, so then I took the redundancy in the end, and then just had about a year off completely. And I went and did some traveling and did some like charity work, and I set up a little Etsy shop making and selling bracelets and stuff. And it was just a really nice time to reset. And it had been a very, very draining going through COVID for everyone anyway. So I think it was just really nice being able to have that space.
like the reset you kind of needed.
Totally, yeah, I really needed it.
I think we should always like champion that, if someone feels like they need to take that year, it's absolutely fine. Go and do it. It's gonna be, the making of you really, isn't it?
Come back
Rather
better
than going
for
from
it sometimes.
one burnout and then to another really high pressure job. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think I had completely burnt out, and I was kind of wondering if I even wanted to do buying anymore. Like at the point when I left Accessorize, I was ready for that to be it, and to just like take the time to rest, but also think about what I wanted to do and whether that was buying or something completely different. But I think then having that year off, I realized actually no, I love that. I do love the job.
Yeah.
So when I interviewed for Jigsaw, I was in Ibiza at the time, and
Living your life, love that.
living the life, yeah. So I had the interview in Ibiza, and so my current boss, the buying director there, she had also taken a break, I think either during COVID or maybe before. So that was so good because I was so nervous going back into interviews and thinking about how I was going to explain that time off and whether it was going to seem like a weakness. But because she'd gone through something similar, she was like, really empathetic to it, totally got it. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like, she wanted to ask about what I'd been doing, but it wasn't a big deal. And if anything, she saw it as a strength, I guess. So that was just amazing, kind of lining up there.
It should be seen as a strength, that you can recognize the signs, that you can take some time for yourself, but that you didn't just sit back.
Yeah,
You actually were entrepreneurial in it anyway. You still have a huge love for product. You set up your own business. You traveled. You were inspired by things that you saw, and all those kind of things it mean so much more than
it was a very full year. Like it was an amazing time. It was good to just go and do something different and reset your perspective. I think that was really helpful because I think also having started at Accessorize from BA, and when you're like sucked into that, wanting to climb the ladder and work is everything, and having that year to be like, I love this, and obviously I'm passionate about it and I'm going to give my all, but it is a job, and there are other things going on in my life, and that's okay, that's healthy, and that's a balance and perspective that you need to like keep hold of.
Definitely. What is it that you love about buying? So you say that, kind of reaffirmed how much you love about buying. Like, what is it in particular that you really enjoy?
I think I love the mix of what the job role is, like that mix of creative but also analytical. And I think that's what, going back to like when I was like picking my A levels and stuff, like I ended up doing like photography, art, maths and business studies. Like that is like what I was like right from the beginning. So I think it really suits.
It complements.
It complements like what I love. Like I love the fact that you can go on trip and you can be designing embellished bags and like playing around with fabric swatches and shapes and stuff, but also like getting into the nitty gritty of, looking at your Monday morning sales like trade pack and why is it that sales haven't come through? Like, finding that little hidden thing of, I don't know, one market's particularly down, or maybe all of the web images aren't looking great, or whatever it is. Like, I really enjoy that side of it too. And I think also the fact that buying, I think more so than most, but I obviously appreciate I'm biased. Like I think it's the company, like the department in a company where you're touching every single other department, and I love that. Like I grew up. My dad has been in business. As I've grown up, so I've watched him, and I've always been fascinated by the business as a whole. So I think in buying, you get a really holistic view of what's going on because you're really in touch with retail and web and all of those other categories. And yeah, I love that. It makes it such a varied
really,
role.
aren't you? You're so intrinsic. You're right at the heart of the business.
Exactly.
And they say, what's the saying? All roads lead to a buyer. They really do. You're the heart of it all. And you do have all those touch points. And that's what's so great. And you get to like be involved in so many different areas of the business.
Yeah, it's a really fun job. So you had your interview in Ibiza. How did that go? What was it like doing a remote interview? Sort of
it was good. I think what was pretty nice about it from my perspective was, as much as like I really wanted the job, like I was also having such a good time as well. So sometimes taking the pressure off a little bit actually allows you to do a lot better in the the interview.
100%. Yeah.
You're probably just radiating joy and
Yeah,
glowing.
probably. Yeah, I was like, raise hands, like
it is all about that though, isn't it? You got to give out the vibe that you want to get back.
yeah. But so at first, I think because I couldn't come in for an in-person, I was going to fly back for a second interview, but in the end they said they gave me the job but on a 3-month contract. So I just did that first interview and then they gave me it on that. But then when I started, they made it permanent. So
brilliant. And what category were you buying first of all at Jigsaw?
So I started off buying, I went in to buy like the leather goods, so bags and footwear. And then I think within about 2 weeks, I was then doing all of like footwear, bags and all of accessories.
Wow.
Lucy strikes again.
Because I think they were thinking of having two buyers, like one to do leather and one to do everything else. And then I think 1 BA or 2 BA. But then once I'd started and I was talking to my boss about it, we were like, actually, I think we could probably just have it as like me and then get like a really good assistant buyer in and a BA, and let's just keep it as like one team, one.
Because you've got the skill sets for all of that.
Yeah. So I did all of footwear and accessories, and then but classically it all started like sneaking back up. So we got given pajamas, and then last Christmas we launched a gifting range. So that was like added in, which was, to be honest, it was so much fun. I absolutely loved doing it. It's been quite a wide product category, and definitely at first I found it a real shock because the options, like Accessorize options, were huge and the volumes that you're buying were huge. So I think I felt like, I'm totally used to like 300 options or whatever a season, and so option count was similar, but actually doing options across so many multiple categories was really challenging because they are all so different, like, and managing the critical path for every category. And there was the supply base is really wide at Jigsaw, because a lot more of it is made in Europe. So then you've got quite short lead times compared to much longer lead times, and some people have got Chinese New Year, but some people have got August shutdown, and so that was a real shock to the system. I think
organizational skills must have
totally
fire there. But then that makes sense as well, as you said, that you wanted to have all of the, kind of to have the accessory department under you, so all the buying's in one team and you're all kind of working on one goal, but then actually you have more support system underneath because you need the organization to be able to juggle all those different critical paths and the timings, the deliveries and the options.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I think it probably took me a good year, to be honest, to like settle into that properly. But it was really fun being able to work across every category.
And different types of trips then. So a lot more Europe trips were there, or?
Yeah, so it wasn't like as much travel, but yeah, I haven't done China actually since I've been there, but I've done India a few times, gone to Italy for the shoe fairs because and the kind of like leather fairs at Linear Pell, because at Jigsaw everything's done bespoke. So you're dyeing your own leathers, and like the hardware's molded specifically for the bags or the jewelry and all of that. So yeah, so going to Linear Pell and Mecam became like a frequent trip, which was great because actually all the suppliers are there. So even if you can't get out to China or India,
They all come to them.
You can see them there.
Yeah, I do love an international, when I say international trade show, like a European trade show. I did a lot more of that at Dobbies as well, and I think they're so much more there's so much more to them, isn't there? Like you have all the suppliers there. You have amazing trend talks. You have like it just opens up the world, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. And it's
yeah,
a really great experience to go and do more
yeah.
European trade shows.
And
Yeah.
it's good to like go and see the trends because you're like walking through like hundreds, thousands of stands. So you really get a feel for like, okay, every single stand has a cowboy boot. Like I think there's something there. So, and also just like reaffirm the quality. Like I found like reaffirm the quality of the suppliers that we're using. Like I remember there was one time we were thinking about whether or not we needed a new supplier in a certain category. And after I'd done like a lap of the show, I was like, no, we're 100% in the right place. Like you can tell that this supplier is like leagues above anybody else. So yeah, no, it's interesting. And the food in Italy, like I love going to Italy.
Oh,
So.
wow. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, who doesn't love an Italy trip?
Yeah. So I remember my first trip actually was Italy, ex-Accessorize, and it was a hosiery. Was it hosiery? The tight supplier was in Italy. So I think we started off in Florence. Maybe we did a shoe fair and then we ended up in Florence, and we booked the hotel, and I'd booked it. And I think it happened to be a new hotel had opened, so they had a really good deal for that weekend or whatever we were there. So it was really cheap. And we turned up at the hotel, and my buyer was like, "This is not a normal trip. Like this is not the standard that your life is going to be at." Because we walked in and they handed us a glass of champagne, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
"Oh, this is so glamorous."
Oh, I love that. That's complete opposite to my first trip to Italy, where my buyer was like, we walked up to it and there were 3 stars on the outside. She was like, I don't stay at anything under 4 star. And I was like, no, honestly, when I booked it, when I looked, because you have to book your own travel accessorize.
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, on booking.com, it said it was a 5-star. I don't know why it must be a different rating in Europe. It must 3 stars in Europe must mean 5 stars in the UK. She was just like,
But
it was
what's
nice
so
hotel.
hilarious about both those stories is it was both our first trips. Why were we the ones doing the booking of it?
We don't know anything. You get what you're given. We did our best.
Yeah, I suppose you got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, so what's the best trip you've ever been on, Lucy?
I think the India trips I have absolutely loved. I think the product categories I've been doing there, like doing the evening bags, I think was one of my favorite categories to do. But the food,
and that was in part the suppliers and also the materials and the beading and just the general creativity of it all.
Yeah, I loved it. And yeah, actually on one of my recent trips to India, I got to go to the Taj Mahal because one of our factories was in Agra. So that was, I kind of like worked the trip so that it felt like the last day fell over like a weekend. So I was like, I'll just pay for that last night and we're just going to stay there.
Love that, because that's an absolute bonus, because that is not something you normally get when people think you're going on trip and then you're like, yes, but I basically just went onto an airplane, into a taxi, into a hotel, into a supplier showroom, into a factory, and then I got back on a plane and I came home.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think every other trip experience I've had, particularly like the Far East ones, have been like that, like really long days. You don't actually get to see any of the country that you're visiting. And when I left Accessorize and I thought, oh, maybe this is it, I won't go back into buying, I was like, oh gosh, I can't believe I never made the most of being there. Or, you know, I
Yeah.
never even asked if I could extend a trip.
Could I tag it onto a weekend
Yeah,
or
because I think
something?
I always felt like, oh, I'm so lucky to even be going. I don't want to rock the boat, and often they were quite last minute, so you kind of just had to like get it done before the prices like hiked up. So
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
went back into it, I was like, I really would love to be able to make it work to go and see the Taj
Well
Mahal.
done you. Good
Yeah,
on you.
who
I
knows
remember
if
when
I
we
want to go
started,
again?
our buyers before us, they would tag on 2-week holidays in
Yeah,
Thailand.
they
Because you
would.
remember sterling silver
Oh
jewelry
yeah.
used to be bought in, I don't know if it's
Thailand.
Oh
but
yeah,
used to be bought in
Yeah.
Thailand. So they'd
yeah,
always tag on like a week or two's holiday then in Thailand. I was like, oh, I can't wait till I'm a buyer and I get to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, or
I
you'd
know.
always work it. Like I know when we used to do Vietnam and other buyers did Vietnam, you'd always work it that it would land on a Sunday so you could have a day off in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's so good. I know. I think you just need to feel like a bit more confident in yourself, don't you? Like
Mm.
to push
And you're
back.
working so hard as well.
You are
Like I
working
was,
Oh
the reason
yeah.
why I never really tagged anything time on was because I was so tired
Mm,
towards the end of it. I actually was just like, not sure if this is worth it because I'm just going to be sleeping, you know, like I'm going to be so exhausted because I always am when I come back. So it's hard to fit that time in when you've just been so full on for like
mm,
14 nights,
yeah.
you
Or
know?
like I think I'm always sick when I come back.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
because you're run down,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
aren't
Because
you?
actually, one trip as well. I had a wedding in India, so it like was going to time up almost. So
Amazing.
we just like wiggled the dates a little bit and managed to tag on a trip to um the wedding in it was the wedding was in Jaipur.
Oh, cool.
So that was a really amazing that I was able to tie it together. But
Yeah.
I was so sick at the wedding
Oh,
because I'd just done like a 10-day trip or something. I think I'd had
Yeah.
7 flights in like because I'd flown there and then I'd had all of these internal flights going off
Yeah.
to like Chennai and then Mumbai and back to back. And yeah, got to the wedding and I had to go upstairs because they're quite long days at the wedding and it was 3 days I think and people were partying until like 3, 4 in the morning. And
Oh,
at one
wow.
point, I just had to go and like lie in my bed for like a couple of hours and like gain the
Oh,
strength to go back down. Because I was so
like you've made
exhausted.
it here, you've got here,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
come on,
oh,
just get
wow.
through it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
It
intense.
is exhausting.
It's obviously the best part about the job, isn't it, really, doing the
yeah,
traveling, but it's also like the probably the bit that contributes to the burnout the
yeah.
most, if that makes sense.
Especially when you're
Um,
traveling so much.
yeah, yeah, unfortunately. But it's just about managing it, isn't it? I think, you know, making sure that you have that time off when you get back as well,
Mm,
because I was always really bad at that. I would just be like, well, I've been at the office for 2 weeks. I have to get back in again. Actually, no, you need to understand that you have been working for two
yeah.
solid weeks,
I
you know?
think you feel bad. It's funny because I think I always feel bad going on trip. You feel bad because
Mm,
I think you think to everyone else you've just been on some kind of like jolly. So
yeah,
yeah, if you've been out of the office for 2 weeks, you feel bad for the rest of your team. You're like, obviously, I need to get back because I've not been here. And you're like, no, I have, but I have been working,
yeah,
and I've been working more, like longer hours and more
Yeah.
intensely than if you were in the office.
And
yeah. And
nothing
you know,
stops.
No,
absolutely. And you're forming those bonds with the suppliers that
yeah,
then, you know, if you need a problem solved last minute, you've had that time to be like
yeah,
to cultivate that relationship and, you know, probably saved yourself a cost price, you know, and that isn't seen immediately, but is seen
mm,
in 6 months or something like that. So it's just remembering all of that, isn't it? And not being too hard on ourselves and just,
yeah, totally.
We talk about sort of leaders, like inspiring leaders, maybe
Mhm.
tricky people that we've worked with and kind of how that's been.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I've always been quite lucky with the people that I've worked with in the like both Accessorize and Jigsaw. I think everyone is like a family, and generally most people there I think have been an absolute dream to work with. I think like the managers that stood out in particular at Accessorize, I had when I was senior BA, the buyer that I was working with, I I think she'd just come back from mat leave, but I didn't have like a really strong relationship with her, but we just seemed to connect like
yeah.
instantly, and I really got on with her, and she really believed in me, and she really spent time sitting with me. I remember she created like this little like buying Bible that she was writing for me, and like this like
Oh,
PowerPoint, and she was adding slides to it every time she thought of something that would be good to know. And it was her that I think I'd gone for an assistant buyer role, and you know what it's like. It's like it feels like there's like 8 of you that have applied for it, and I'd gone for it a few times and not got not got the AB role. And she pulled me into a room and she was like, oh, I'm really sorry, like you've not got the assistant buyer role, but it's because we're giving you the senior assistant buyer role on our team. And I was like, I just like cried, because, you know, like someone believing in you so much was so special. And when you're that level and you're kind of like questioning, like, am I even doing the right thing? It feels like it's moving really slowly. I'm working so hard. And so that was amazing. And then I think who I've been working with at Jigsaw, I think that like really stands out to me, because I think when I was thinking about how like I liked to be managed as well, like I think I'm somebody, and I've realized this in recent years, I think if you kind of like hover over the top of me, I think that I'm not someone that's gonna like really fight for the hierarchy of it. And so I'll just like kind of become like less than, and like I'm never someone that would like speak over somebody or like contradict my boss like in a meeting or something. So if my boss like feels like they're taking the lead, then I'm just gonna like take a step back, because like I don't know.
You'll just follow as they say, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But if someone like leaves space for me and is like, I'm just going to let you do this because I think you're going to grow and step into this, then I think that then I do. And I think
that's how you thrive.
Yeah, I think my manager at the moment, like I've really appreciated that about her, because I think she's been a bit like, you know, accessories is your department, like you're the product specialist, you tell me what you think we need to be doing. And I think being able to step into that and grow, I think I've never grown so much as my time at Jigsaw, and like that's been such a great experience.
Being given that full ownership really of something, that you know that there's somebody there to support you, and if you need any help, they're there and they can step in and give you something. But ultimately, you're the product expert, and I want more buyers to feel like that, you know. And if you get to a point where you are owning a category, it's yours, you know, you drive it forwards. But you're right, if there's someone hovering over you, it can feel a bit sort of micromanaging and a bit sort of almost like they don't think that you can do it, and therefore you just don't dare sort of give your opinion, because
exactly, then you
they
question
can't trust you.
Totally.
You need that space to be able to really put your thoughts and expressions and ideas across.
Exactly. And also someone that's like going to fully support you, but also, you know, who's there for you, who's easy to come to when you're like, I've messed this up, like I've got this completely wrong, like I need help.
Help you pick up the pieces, not judge you, not be like, oh gosh, should never have left you in charge, should I? Well, over to me again. And you're like, no. It's someone that's just like, okay, that's how we learn. We make mistakes, that's how we learn.
So how has that experience helped to shape you as a manager? Like, how do you want to be with your team? Do you sort of apply a similar logic, or you know, how's that sort of helped with your managerial skills?
I think that is how I try to be. I think I try to be someone who's like very supportive in the background of stuff, but then like if there's a meeting and like someone else, you know, if my like the senior AB or junior buyer, like if she's leading the meeting, then take a step back and like I'll step in if I need to, but we've done enough work in the background of it for you to feel confident, to feel like you're growing and you're like taking ownership of this department. And I think also like in terms of managing people, it's recognizing what different people need to thrive, because not everybody is the same. Well, actually, you know, I actually recently got everybody to do their love language test. Have you ever done that?
No. Oh, wow. I love a test like that.
So it's
I never thought about doing that in the workplace. That's a really good idea.
Because what we all realized is that we're all words of do you know what they are?
Not all of them, but I know the words of affirmation, and isn't so like gestures or gifts or something? Yeah,
words of affirmation, physical touch, which obviously is a bit not quite appropriate for the workplace, but gifts, acts of service, and what's the other one? I don't remember. There's another one, but we've all realised that we're all words of affirmation. So it must like just attract that. So now we went through a phase, and of every time, you know, like we're opening posts and we're getting development out, we're like, guys, we're smashing this. You're doing such a good job.
Oh, that's motivating.
So that was a really good thing to do, actually. And also recognizing, you know, there was someone on the team that was acts of service was really important to them, and just knowing that, you know, so then means that like when, you know, if they need help with something, or just like stepping in to help with something, or just like going to make a cup of tea or something.
I was going to say making them a cup of tea, and that really means something when you can see that they're struggling with something, or making them a cup of tea, making sure they've always got a cup of tea when they come in.
Exactly. Because I know that with words of affirmation, like basically I could be like in the depths of like despair or something, and if someone came up to me and was like, you're doing such a good job, I'd instantly be like boosted, and any kind of like bitterness or anything would just like fall off, and I'd be like, okay, great, what else do you want me to do? So as much as obviously don't take advantage of it, like it's really good to know what motivates people and boosts them and makes them feel like they're doing a good job and makes them feel loved and valued. So that was a really good one to do, because I'm no good with like the Myers-Briggs personalities or something. I can never remember what they all are. But love languages, I think, is a good one to do.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
tip. I like that. Although imagine if it did come back and it was all physical touch. And every morning you had to come in and hug everyone to make them feel good for the day. Can you imagine?
I'm not sure you're allowed to do that in place.
I mean, I do feel like I hug everybody, but
yeah, me too.
The
awkward supplier hug.
Yeah.
Air hugs.
Yeah,
exactly.
All sorts. Oh no, I love that. Yeah.
It's a good one.
And talking about things that we love, what about trends that you're loving at the moment? What are you liking that you see out there? You know, people that are kind of maybe being a bit different. I think we've seen the high street looking quite samey in places for a while, but I do feel now people are starting to stand out, and I don't know if it's that boldness of colour that's giving people and retailers confidence to actually sort of stand for their values and their heritage and what they're all about.
I mean, I really like, because I've started doing women's wear recently. I think I've been looking a lot at like dresses and stuff, and I love Doan. I just think it's like so pretty, and I think if you like talked to me like a year ago, I think I was basically dressing like a man. Like I was like in tailoring like almost the whole time, like tailored trousers and a t-shirt was like all I was wearing. But recently I've been feeling a lot more like feminine. And Doan is just like so pretty. I just bought these like little gingham frilly shorts from them, and I've spent all summer in them. I'm completely obsessed. And yeah, I've also really got into Vinted recently, so I keep looking on there because they're quite expensive. So I
Vinted, we are big fans of Vinted.
Yeah.
I need to like sell to keep up with the amount that I want to buy, but it kind of averages out a little bit.
You can find some absolute gems on there, can't you?
Yeah.
And it gives you, I think what I really loved about it was when the high street was really looking really kind of samey, there was something different on Vinted, because it was things from a while ago, good quality products that, you know, were just stood out.
Yeah. I think that is what I've really liked about it. Like, I think working at Jigsaw, it's kind of spoiled me for quality. And now I don't really want to buy cheaper stuff, because
I think that's only a good thing.
Yeah. But then I've kind of peaked a bit too soon. Like I can't necessarily afford this good quality stuff that I want. So that's when Vinted is just so helpful, because you can, like I just bought a nice, it sounds so random, but I've just been to Cornwall and I saw these like Ralph Lauren jumpers that have the teddy bears on them. And I was like, I just feel like that is like a really important part of my Cornwall wardrobe I need. But I managed to get one on Vinted for like, I don't know, less than half the price.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, it's good.
And because it's good quality, it still lasts. It doesn't feel like it's been, you know, that it's second, third, fourth, fifth hand or whatever, because they stand the test of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just got a couple of tops from Totem on Vinted, but they were like £30 or something. And it's like, you know, it's going to be a good fit, it's good quality. So yeah.
And just like recycling some of the stuff like Topshop used to do, you know, back in the day when they had a really great design handwriting.
Yeah.
Love finding stuff like that. And even with Zara as well, because sometimes I feel like they can get a bit churny. And that's, you know, yesteryear products from them were brilliant and lovely. And it's so great to find some of those, I think, on there.
It just, I think, becomes a bit obsessive. You know, you have to spend so long to actually find stuff and like to tailor your algorithm to stuff.
Yeah.
It's like become my new social media.
I guess like doom scrolling.
Yeah. Late at night, like, oh gosh, what's that?
I love that.
I love that. And when you put something and you're like favorite it and you're like, oh, I'll come back to that. And then when it goes and you're like, I should have got it. I should have got it.
Yeah. Totally.
And you know that there's no more left. So you're like,
well, that's it. Yeah. Which is nice, because when you buy something like these shorts that I got, I was like, well, no one else has them. I know, because I don't know how old they are.
Yeah.
So it's like, feels like such a treasure when you find something and you buy it. But yeah, equally when you lose it, that's it. Your moment's gone. It might be another 2 years.
Where it comes back up.
Yeah.
It's really good for like wedding dress. Obviously,
Yeah.
not your actual wedding dress, but if wedding guest dress.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I always find that like it's a special occasion. I want to wear something maybe a bit different, something new. But I know if I go to the shops now, the likelihood is someone else at the wedding is probably going to wear something the same because they have had the like the same idea. But going on vintage, you can almost guarantee you're not going to be wearing the same thing as someone else.
I've actually started renting dresses for wedding. Like I've got one at the end of the month, and I've been using by rotation, and for that reason, like having something more unique than everybody else, but also wearing something really good quality, but not having to pay like £400 for it. It's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's great, isn't it? I'm really obsessed with the Circle at the moment. I think like their journey has been insane, the way that they've then moved on to this really amazing new platform, new website. And I didn't realize that you can actually sell it back as well, and then they give you money back. So
okay. I didn't know that.
real proper Circle, it's the name. But yeah, no, really interesting. So shall we do some retail therapy?
Oh yeah.
Have you got something for us, Liz?
Well, I have a few different ones. So I feel I was racking my brain for them, because I swear, honestly, at Jigsaw. So my favorite thing to do is, and I shouldn't really share it on this because part of me feels like it's my $1 million idea, is that, like The Office, I just feel like there should be a fashion office, because there are so many comical things that happen. And often
with you on that.
The only way I get through a day is like, I'll stand up and be like, so make a great episode, wouldn't it? Like, because I feel like it's laughable. And sometimes I go home and I like tell friends and family stuff that's happened. They're like, your office is unhinged. But it's just like part of the fun of it. But I do think, so I feel like I should have loads more, but I can't really think.
It's hard to do it on the spot. They happen all the time.
Yes, they do.
Sometimes on the spot, it can be like.
Yeah, I remember thinking, are we being recorded? Like.
Yeah. Well, I remember Accessorize, like presenting boards and ranges and stuff, and you'd present it and people would be like, absolutely not, it's awful. Then you go away, you'd rework it, present it again, no, it's no good, like make all these changes, go back, and you'd present it like a fourth time, and it would basically be the original one, and that would be signed off. And I remember like someone being like, this over voice, like the design team have presented this for the 5th time, they've gone back to their first board and now it's the best idea they've ever had. Like,
oh my God, that's brilliant.
So comical, but very relatable.
So true. Exactly, all of that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my first ever sign off was on footwear, and I had it like kind of racked up on the wall. I think I was only like 23 as well. Like I was a baby, and our director walked in and he didn't even sit down. He just yelled at me for like 20 minutes of why every single thing I'd put on the wall was wrong. He then let everybody else out of the room, kept me and the buying manager or buying director, I can't remember what her title was. He kept us back. He told us again why every single thing was wrong. He told me I bought like a merchandiser, and then he stormed out the room and I just burst into tears. And 2 weeks later, I showed him the exact same collection, but I'd laid it on the table, not on the wall. And I'd cut my swatches out with crinkly scissors, which I felt like gave it an extra like touch. And it was all signed off within like 10 minutes. And I was like, this is wild.
It is wild. I think sometimes it depends on what meetings they've just come from. And like he may have just come from a meeting where he'd felt really frustrated. He just came in to let out all his aggression on you. And then he was just like, oh, I feel better now. I'm going to go have lunch.
Yeah, totally.
And yet that's just like 6 months worth of work that is.
And like my whole confidence riding on that, my first ever sign off, and you're like, I'm in the wrong job.
Wow.
The things that happen sometimes, you're right, when you use the word unhinged, it is. The things we go to. I just think sometimes like what doesn't like kill you makes you stronger sometimes.
Definitely.
It's a really, really tough way of putting it, but definitely you build a thick outer skill, don't you, in buying. Like you can be the most sensitive Sally when you start. By the end of it, there is no touching Nancy. She is on fire. you know?
Yeah, I think it's also you've got to remember that there's a lot of opinions in the room, isn't there, especially at senior level, and some of them want to have a voice, and so they're just saying things for the sake of it. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
the amount of times where you're just like come out of a sign off and you're like questioning what the head of marketing has said, because they don't want you to put potentially one of the products that you think is going to do really well through. You're like, should I go with that? I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure whether that is quite right. So you do really have to have like the real gumption and confidence that you're making the right decisions.
yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny.
exactly.
Katie, do you remember the time that I got told off for not being able to cut in a straight line?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't, but now you said that, that's come back to me.
That was the one. That was another one that I thought of, because I think I'd gone for a senior BA role, and I was waiting to find out. And you and the buyer had just had a sign off or something, and it was when the third floor was completely empty. So you'd gone down to that like kind of eerie third floor, and there was one meeting room that you'd used, and you came back up and you were like, you're needed downstairs. And I was like, okay, yeah, okay. And I thought I was going to find out I'd got promoted. And our buyer was like sitting in the middle of this empty floor on a table and just like called me over. And I sat down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. My heart was going. And I sat down and she was like, Lucy, I'm so disappointed in you. All of the labels that you cut out for that board were completely wonky. And I basically felt like I'd destroyed the whole meeting. I've used a guillotine ever since.
It's so funny because now you say that, I do remember that, but because I was sort of like, your line manager or the in-between, I was the assistant buyer, she'd first called me up to ask me how it could have happened.
Really,
I remember I had to sort of, and how did she cut these labels? Well, I believe she got them.
I'm so sorry.
Isn't it funny how I completely forgotten all about that.
So funny. Well, so yeah, no, I now
time to spend thinking about like that make or break her presentation.
I was devastated. I was so like, I felt awful. And I either use a guillotine, or for like the rest of my time at Accessorize, I had a crinkly cut pair of scissors on my desk at all times, because I know my weaknesses. I can't cut in a straight line, but crinkly cut hides it.
That is brilliant. That's gold.
Jazzes it up. It is funny, the like the little things that can make a big difference. Like I remember there being one girl on the jewelry team, and she was doing her first ring sign off, and I know you were saying about putting them up on the board or like laying them down, and I remember she'd put them up on the board, the little pins, first sign off, and she was really nervous and she held the board. I mean, that is number one. Like, yeah, that's just like number one. Like, first sign off, feeling a bit nervous, don't hold the board, get someone else to hold it, or like lay it on the down. And she was just like,
Oh my.
the whole way through. It didn't get signed off because same said director was just like, I couldn't see anything. What ridiculous. The whole board was shaking all over the place. And was just like, I don't think she's ready to be buying anything. And poor girl, I think, actually then had to kind of sort of take a step back from buying anything. Did it in the background, but it was a while until she could do her next, like her next
That's
sign
so
off in front of the director.
hard.
But God, first one. And when you're like, guys, like,
give someone a break.
Yeah.
And you learn, don't you? I'm sure after that one, she'd never put rings on a board on pins again, like for her own sanity. So
No, yeah, exactly.
that sound probably just echoed in her like nightmares for weeks after that.
I know, but sign-offs were so scary, weren't they? Like, I feel like people are like, I don't know, afraid of doing their driving test or something else big in life. But like as a buyer, you become so resilient because you've been put in these really awful situations. I remember the time when something inside my brain just went, I'm just not going to let this bother me. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk about the product that I know I've been buying for the last year. I know the history on it. I know the suppliers that I brought in. Da, da, da. And if that's wrong, or if they want to debate it, and let them. I had my Mel Robbins moment.
Yeah. But also you realise that you are the product expert and they are just coming with opinions, but actually no, you do know what the bestseller was. And you do know what you're doing because you're living and breathing it and they're not.
yeah.
So I used to just be like, I'm just going to take center stage here, and I would just dance around as though I was on. It was my moment. This is my West End moment. Like, I'm here to be like this or this.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why we do this
blue?
podcast.
How about it in
Lucy.
pink? I would just feed, this kind of dramatic kind of performance. If that's what they wanted drama, I was gonna bring drama.
Yeah, well, the energy goes a long way, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
if you look like excited and passionate about it, then I mean that's half the battle, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
confident.
it's infectious, right? And like you say, kind of it's those words of affirmation and things like that. If you can kind of, I think everybody does like a bit of so if you can kind of massage and be like, oh, great idea. I was thinking similar, although I was going to do it in pink.
Yeah.
You love it in blue, me too. But I think pink's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Just
it's
sort of
that whole kind of like
Yeah.
influence, isn't it? Like being able to steer a conversation and
yes.
Yeah.
it's really important.
Great. My gosh, we are getting
We
on
have
to
been talking for so long, but this has been so fun. I could go down memory lane on buying
I
for.
know,
Yeah.
totally.
I could
Yeah.
keep talking about it, all the funny situations, and as you say, Lucy, like there's constantly new ones coming out, like new things to like laugh at and giggle at, and you couldn't make it up half these things that happen.
It's very entertaining, isn't it?
It's
It is, and
incredibly
I think that's part of the love of the role as well, and love of being in buying is that it's creative in like a kind of sense of making things, but it's creative because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
Well, thank you so
Great.
much for joining us.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
It was so lovely to meet you and
Yeah,
hear
you too.
and reminisce about all of our times on the bags team.
I know, Accessorize girls.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Lucy. We'll see you soon.
Yeah,
Thanks,
see you
Lucy.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please, please, please like and subscribe and leave a review.
And if you already have, thank you, thank you, thank you. We all need a bit of retail therapy, and this is the perfect time for you to offload about that super cringeworthy story. We would love to hear from you all, your funny stories and experiences, or even any dilemmas, and maybe we can help, or at least find someone who can. And don't worry, we will keep these anonymous and remove any names and brands.
We would also love to hear from you on any topics you would like us to talk about. Please send all of these into buyingandbeyond@gmail.com or drop us a DM via our Instagram page @buyingandbeyond. Kate, are you a drama queen?
No,
Drama just makes things interesting.
that's true.
All these thoughts and opinions are our own and based on our own experiences working for a wide variety of retailers. These are all in the hope to entertain and educate, and not to reflect negatively on any place we currently or have previously worked.